What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me on D's Analysis. We're going to be checking out MSTR and Bitcoin today. So we closed at 326.02 today, and post market was sitting at 328.27 currently. On the 3-month, you can see we still have 18 days and 21 hours. I guess you could argue the fact that we could be in a retest mode, as this last candle closed at 403 right there. So that was a very, very bullish close. And now, like we always say, once we break a structure, which was this structure over here on a major time frame, three months, we broke it, held well above it, equal to this wick. And like I said, you could argue that this is a retest of this structure here for a move up higher. Now, on the flip side, like I said, we have 18 months left, or I'm sorry, 18 days left. 18 days left for this 3-month candle to close. Now, if we were to fall back underneath this structure here at around 290, 287, somewhere in this ballpark, I'll just do like this simple line here, 287 or lower, then that would definitely start to create some kind of concern, some major concern. That would be closing at this structure over here on a monthly perspective. That would put you right under there. And if that were to happen, that would complete the bear flag that we'll go over in a little bit. We've been talking about it for a couple weeks now. And if that were to play out, then we would more than likely touch this structure at 257 to 246 if we continue this momentum to the downside. So be aware of that. We are still holding the structure pretty decent right now. Nothing too crazy has been happening. Sideways action, really no momentum. After we've had this fall off, it's just kind of been sideways and slowly bleeding out. We could see an increase in volume to the downside if we lose the structure. Hopefully we don't. And like I said prior, hopefully we could chop sideways and then have our V-shaped recovery or some kind of double bottom, something along those lines, and continue up higher. If we were to break this structure at 368, we could more than likely see a pretty aggressive move if we were to actually close above the structure and retest, because we have a clean move to around 400 or so. So we'll see if that plays out or if we continue this trend downward. On a fib perspective, if you take a look at this leg here, and we take it to this top over here, stretch it out, we are right at the golden zone, which is always our key level of support. We definitely don't want to lose that. This is pretty much the more bullish side of this fib here from the 0.618 up. Once you start touching the 786 and the 886, the move starts to look like it's going to be over more than anything. And of course, once you hit the 1, the entire move is no longer a bullish move, and this entire move is wiped out. So hopefully that doesn't play out, but that's just kind of how these fib levels work. And that 0.5 to the 618, this golden zone, lines up with this key level of support right here. So this should be a powerful zone to support price. And like I said, if we lose it, that could be troublesome, I would say. And comparing it to Bitcoin, like we said already, you can see that deviation over the past 3 weeks or so. From this point on, you can see MSTR has been in this downtrend as Bitcoin's been trending higher. So you can see that very obvious deviation right there. Very, very in your face right there when you show it like that. And if I were to put Bitcoin on the line chart, then you could see it even more. MSTR is in the blue and Bitcoin's in the pink. You can see that deviation very, very strong there. So hopefully it doesn't continue and we can flip this thing around. But right now it's just some deviation, at least temporarily. We'll see if it continues on. If it does, then like I said, we can start talking about lower prices if we close underneath the structure. We have 20 hours left for this week. Ideally, we want to hold the structure at the bare minimum. If we lose it, then like I said, we'll start talking about holding, retesting, and looking for lower prices. In the more bullish scenario, I don't know if it's going to happen. Probably not, just based off of how things have been playing out for MSTR. The bullish scenario would be pushing up 4% all the way up to 339 or 340, getting a close there, and having this bad boy flip back around and catching some momentum to the upside. That's what we would want to see, but like I said, that's not my base case at all. The 20-month SMA is sitting at 260. So if we were to actually make it all the way down to the structure, you would hope for some kind of support there, as that has been a very powerful level supporting these moves. And once we have lost that 20-month, we would come for a retest and fall off. So I would expect a move like that if we were to fall underneath our 20-month. I would expect a retest of it to see if we can hold back above it. Of course, varying off of whatever Bitcoin does. And if we find rejection off of it, it could look similar to this move. The bullish case would be if we were to see the downside, we would bounce off of it and start to see a move higher. Of course, we need a lot of bullishness around Bitcoin, and investor sentiment would have to change around MSTR. Still in the same position on the SMAs, finding rejection off the 50, and we're pushing down lower. We'll see if we lose this wick here at 317. Hopefully we don't. That will start to increase our odds, and it's pretty much a sideways day, or actually a sideways week, I would say. From Thursday to Thursday, we're kind of in the same position, and we found a little bit of rejection off the 20-day SMA. On the 8-day SMA, we have come back for a retest, and that continued that trend downward. We'll see if it actually extends lower, or if we can finally break above it and reverse the trend. But these 8-day EMAs and 8-week EMAs kind of hold short-term rallies, whether it's bullish or bearish. As you can see, you can see it to the upside, you can see it to the downside. So we'll see if we can actually hold it above and start to reverse this move. If not, then I would expect that continuation if we were to lose this structure over here. Bitcoin's looking pretty solid. As you can see here on the weekly, we have 3 days left in 1 hour. We're sitting at 115,500 right now. We're in the middle of our structure, our key support level, support and resistance level. We'll see if we can get a close above there. On the weekly, ideally, we'd like to see a close at 116.2 or higher. That would start to increase our odds for a push up, retest, and continuation to this next structure over here. More than likely finding some kind of rejection like we've seen prior. But that would still just be very bullish to push up to, maybe 120 or so and see where we go from there. On the daily, we close in 1 minute and 50 seconds. So that will be covered within this video. We'll see what happens. We'll probably close within the structure, I would imagine, as it's only a minute left, unless we get some kind of crazy pump up $600 or $700, and that would be amazing. So we're going to be watching that here. And on the SMAs, we are above our 50, and we're about to get the daily close above it. I don't see us closing back underneath that right now. Expect some kind of retest, which might coincide with some kind of rejection here, and hopefully a move up higher. On the weekly, we already closed underneath our 20, and we found a bounce off of it, so that was extremely bullish right there. On our monthly RSI, for calling the tops, we have seen some kind of trend from these previous highs over here, from 95 down to about 90 or so, 91, and depending on where we touch it here, it could be 85, could be 84, 83, depending on when it happens. Somewhere in this ballpark, I would expect it to top out, and that would more than likely be our top for this cycle until the next cycle. And here on the weekly RSI, we are pushing up to our yellow moving average. We'll see if we can break through it, or if that serves as rejection, and maybe that coincides with either that top at 120 for a short-term bearish move, or a short-term bearish move here at this structure right now. Hopefully it is a close above here and then we can break through this level. Daily RSI is looking good. We had a pretty steady flow upward, and then we kind of just catapulted up. We're starting to create a steeper trend. We'll see if it stays established. When you look at that here, we'll see if we can hold that. Remember, the steeper it is, the more likely it is to fall through, but we'll definitely take a steep move to the upside all day on Bitcoin. And we close right inside of the structure. We'll see where it takes us next. We'll see if this serves as a floor, or if we're kind of just stuck in between here. We don't know if it's a floor or ceiling because these are large levels. They aren't one exact line. So it's an entire area. So we'll see where it takes us. But that is a very bullish sign though, overall. The weekly MACD, we're still in bullish territory, but we got our red flip. And the momentum's kind of just trending sideways temporarily. We'll see if it dies out on the weekly. And here on the daily, we're looking pretty solid as we got our blue flipping over the orange. And we're starting to see that steady climb on the volume towards the upside. You can see that. Hopefully we can continue that up, and it can scale up higher, and we can start to break the structure over here for a nice sustainable move to the upside. As we break here, the next level that we'd be looking at is 117 roughly, the structure over here, and you find some rejection within here. We don't have too many clean candles here. Like I said, our clean moves were above this wick here, which we talked about in previous videos. If we could close above here, we'd be looking for a retest, and clean moves up to around 117 because of these three candles here to the downside. It kind of cleared the traffic for a potential clean move up to around 117, and it looks like we're starting to see that currently. MSTR divided by IBIT. Looks like that bear flag is in full effect right now. When we take this first one here, looks like I called that move here, and now we are looking to see if this one actually plays out, and right now it is so far playing out. We'll see if that actually plays completely. If it does, that means MSTR divided by IBIT's going down to 4.65. I don't know if that's going to happen, but the current trajectory of MSTR versus Bitcoin, it could be playing out if that deviation continues, like we already talked about in this video. So we'll be watching that. When we take a look at the SMAs, they are all pointing downward, and this 20 has been acting as a level of resistance, pushing price down day by day. And we have our 20 surpassing our 50, which is it's a lagging indicator, but it's a very powerful sign when you get this lower moving average crossing a higher moving average here. We're still monitoring tether dominance as this thing is starting to flip over, which we wanted to see. That's definitely what we were anticipating and hoping for, and we closed inside of the structure right now, so it's starting to increase the odds. Of course, we want to get a close back underneath the structure, look for a retest and a continuation down, and then our next level that we're going to be looking for, or zone I would say, because remember it's not in a direct line, so you could just say this line there, but it's really this entire structure here. And if you encompass all of these, then you get the zone here, and we'd be looking for some kind of move. We're more than likely, if we touch the structure, we're gonna bounce before falling through, and then if we can get that fall through retest, then we could really get a very large move. If we can break these wicks here to the downside, you have a very large green candle that could put us all the way down to around 4 on tether dominance. If this trend continues and we lose the structure, retest and fall down, that'd be a very large move for Bitcoin. So that would put Bitcoin probably in the mid 120s or something if this momentum continues. So that'd be a very nice sign to see. SMAs, we just closed underneath our 50, which is nice. Got the retest pushing down further. Love to see that. That's a very, very good sign for tether dominance. And we already pushed off of our 20-week SMA. So this is looking very bearish, which is bullish for Bitcoin. We want to see this touch of the blue line for our local top for the cycle, or just a local top in general. And the moves typically happen pretty quick, as you can see. Over a 4-month period, you went from 5.17 all the way down to 54.1. Bitcoin dominance is taking a little bit of a breather, but as you can see, it is starting to actually become more bearish, which is good for altcoin season. I'll just do a fib here so you can see this pushed up to the 382. That's a very, very strong level for a continuation. If it pushed up to the 0.5 to 0.618, it's strong, but it's not as strong as a 382, and 382 is not as strong as a 236. So when we look at this next structure here, you can see that that one found the rejection off the 236. So it's going to show that this is even more bearish than this first move, which could lead to a larger move to the downside. We'll see, of course. Now, something to take into consideration is this first leg was a little bit longer than the second leg, just barely, but they're almost equal. But this first one is a little bit longer. So we'll see if this is actually losing steam or actually picking up steam. Of course, we need a little bit more data to come up to that conclusion. Just taking a look to the left-hand side, our next structure that we could be finding some kind of support at would be around this level here for Bitcoin dominance. That's kind of what I'd be looking for. If we can make it down there, I would expect a major bounce where Bitcoin will start to outperform altcoins significantly at that structure. And that structure lines up around 54.7 to around 54. So that's what I'd be looking for. Tether dominant, or Bitcoin dominant, sorry. When you get this move down to this red line around 45%, usually your cycle top, as you can see, has happened to 17, 21 when we had our tops. That's kind of what we're looking for. We need ETH and other altcoins to outperform if we want to see this drop, and that's going to bring the FOMO in to increase Bitcoin's value. Just because this is dropping, Bitcoin dominance is dropping, doesn't mean Bitcoin's price is falling. That just means that other altcoins are doing better than Bitcoin. But that's what you need if you want the small retail investors that don't typically invest, that are going to fall into the FOMO and buy Bitcoin at 200,000, 250K. Those are the people that you need in the market that are nowhere to be found right now. You need them in the market to push the price even higher. So that's what we're looking for here. And ETH Bitcoin, we saw a major outperformance for Ethereum since May, and now we're getting a little cool off period, letting price kind of cool off a little bit, and looking for more upside in my opinion. If you take a fib from here, this entire move, it's only sitting at the 236, which is very strong. And if we slowly move it in, even here, it's sitting at the 382. So those are very, very strong levels. But we are running into this key level of support and resistance and this major level of this trend line here. So that's more than likely why we're seeing that downside. But I do think once we can surpass this level, close, retest, we can start looking at higher targets where ETH starts to really outperform Bitcoin and get a major move to the upside. So that's all I have for you guys. Make sure you drop a like and subscribe. Check out the link in the bio to join the Discord community, and I'll see you guys in the next one.